Hey guys, what's up? Zach Arthur from Shaith Records here, bringing you a tutorial on both studio workings, techniques, mixing tips, and general ins, outs, and just generic things that you should know about audio engineering, both in the studio and just in general. So we're starting off our Analogue World series, which is basically an introduction into physical things like mixing discs, effects units, the like general ins and outs of all this sort of stuff, signal flow, and eventually, as we get on to our more advanced stuff, becomes what sound actually is, how it works, and how you can manipulate it. So we'll start off with the mixing desk that we've got here. Now, this is an old one. It's a Jan's JM10 analog mixing desk, and it's from the probably from the 1980s. It's fairly old, but it still serves its purpose. Still has everything that a normal mixing desk does, and it just works for me. So we'll start off by showing you exactly, well, obviously, if you're here, you know what a mixing desk is. It's basically, you take signal from behind here, which I'll show you later, and then you'll go down here to your volume, back out here, and then out the end. So I'm here to show you how that works. So we'll start with up here. So if I turn this around, at the back, here we have our what's called our inputs, and also our inserts, but we won't worry about that. So down here, we have our microphone inputs. So these take signal from the microphone and chuck it into the mixing desk. So then we're just going to assume that we have a microphone plugged in. So up here we have what's called the gain pot, or attenuation, whatever it is. It says attenuation here, and it's got all the different markings and all that sort of stuff. Basically, that controls how much input goes into your signal. So if you've got something that's really quiet, turn it up. Something that's really loud, obviously turn it down. It also has a little nifty function here, which is called the 20 dB pad, which means that you can basically click it on if it's way too loud, and it'll take the signal down by 20 dB. Now, dB is the measurement of sound, and we'll go into that later. So going further down, we're just going to assume for this one that it goes from the top, goes down the bottom, over here, and out the end. So we go back down here, we have our EQ section. Now this is basically the place where we fine tune the sound. So here we've got our high frequencies, our high mid frequencies. So this is basically our mid section and our low section here. So basically what this entails is, like, that's the bass, that's your guitars, and that's your breathiness. I'm not really going to go into it. I'll go into it at a later date, but basically this is the ins and outs of working with it. Now here you have your auxiliaries. Your auxiliaries are basically an external output that is separate from your master output. So you can send this off to foldback wedges or headphones or whatever, and we'll go into that more at a later date as well. Please pardon my camera skills. Anyways, so here's our effects pots. They're basically the same as the auxiliary pots, they're just labelled differently. Actually, they are exactly the same. So let's just pretend that these things are also these things. You won't find these on many desks, but you'll find them on some. So down here we have what's called our pan pots. Now these control, in a stereo mix, whether the signal goes to the right speaker or the left speaker. This can help you to place an instrument somewhere in there, like somewhere in the mix, or you can just make it so it's like, no, that guitarist is over there, put him over there. Either way works. Anyways, so here we've got our pre-fade level, which basically sends, instead of having the signal go from here all the way down here, it just goes, no, takes it from here, goes down there, and completely eliminates all the other stuff. And there's your mute button. Obviously you know what the mute button does. It stops the signal right there, so there's nothing going through. Here's your levels, so minus 20 dB, 10 dB, 0 dB, and plus 10 dB. Plus 10 dB is red, because that means it's bad, stop, it's too much level. So here you have your volume faders. So basically they control how much level comes out of this, what's called channel strip, and goes out to the master. So that being said, the channel strip, which is what we call this entire section going down, this is repeated 12 times in this desk. It looks daunting, but it's not really. It's exactly the same thing 12 times. You understand what one does, you understand what they all do. Except when we come over here, which is what we would call our masters section. So basically here, this is our playback thing. It's to do with chucking tapes, iPods and all that sort of stuff into the back. I'd show you, but it's a bit confusing. That's the on and off button for it. So here, if you remember that we were talking about the auxiliaries over here, which are like the external outputs for our headphones and such. Here's the master control for this. So if this is on 0, there's not going to be any output from the auxiliary 1 master. So all of these things across here, unless that one is turned up, they don't sound like anything. So that's the pre-fade again, which means that they only take the original source. Same thing with this aux 2, even though it doesn't have a knob. It should be there, but it's not. Same deal with that. FX1 master, FX2 master. Same deal. So over here what we have is our inserts, and that's the ways to connect to, say, reverbs, compressors, all that sort of stuff if you felt like it. Down here is what we'd call our master volume section, which consists of our 4 level indicators, which is our left output, right output, mono output, just in case we're running one speaker, and our pre-fade level. So that shows you what volume each and every one of those is at any given time. Our left and right faders, which you can kind of see that there's no knob on them. The mono knob for mono volume, and the master knobs. So basically that's the ins and outs of a mixer as a whole. It is old, but it would still apply for any form of mixer, and anywhere you can take this information and go, oh, I know what all that does. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. This is Zach Arthur from Shaith Records signing out. You'll find our Facebook in the information section below. See yous.